First, please note that this video contains no spoilers. Just alerting you. Deltarune is an independently made RPG released in 2018 and developed by Toby Fox. It is currently in development and consists of 4 of the 7 chapters that will eventually be released. The game also functions as a sort of parallel story to Undertale, as denoted by the Steam description. Deltarune follows a pair of children, Chris and Susie, as they fall into a place called the Dark World through the closet in their school. I'm not going to explain much more of the plot than this, but I will review how it comes across. Overall, the plot in the game is very well written, more so than Undertale. One of the major elements of the game, and why it's referred to as a parallel story to Undertale, is the fact that many of the side characters, especially in the Light World, where the characters start, are directly borrowed from the game. Although usually changed slightly in this iteration, more so in role than personality. This means the game benefits from the player having played through Undertale first, though it isn't strictly necessary. The characters in the game are consistently super well written and likable, including minor ones and antagonists, which is impressive. I can't think of any characters that I actively dislike yet. One of the strongest aspects of the game's writing. The overall plot is also quite good so far. The 4 chapters have been self-contained to an extent and vignette-like, despite still obviously having an overarching story. But it's worked in the game's favor, and the lore and hints towards major plot elements that haven't been revealed yet are consistently intriguing. The game's humor is also excellent, being very consistently funny. Overall, the game's writing is incredibly good, and likely the main reason to play it. The gameplay is also entertaining, but not as much as the writing. The base combat loop is very similar to Undertale's. Watch my review on that for more details. You select something for your character to do each turn, either attacking, acting, using an item, or sparing the enemy, and then you play a brief bullet hell minigame that functions as the enemy's turn. So far, I'd say the bullet hell minigames are a fair bit better than they were in Undertale, being consistently highly creative and fun. The main difference from Undertale's gameplay loop is that this time you are controlling 3 characters instead of 1, meaning there are many more intricate and interesting actions you need to perform to spare enemies, which improves the combat a fair bit. Another difference is that so far in the game, killing the enemies versus sparing them only leads to very slight changes in one area of the game, with nothing major comparable to the genocide route in Undertale appearing yet. This may change with later versions though. Apart from the combat, the gameplay is also fairly similar to Undertale's, consisting of exploring, dodging environmental hazards, and solving typically easy puzzles. These parts of the gameplay are less interesting than the combat, but are still consistently enjoyable. Overall, the gameplay is very well done. Moving on, the art in the game is another thing I would say improved from Undertale. It's all done in a similar pixel art style, but it's consistently more detailed, colorful, and has more motion to the movements compared to Fox's last game. The art isn't any of the best I've seen in games or anything, but it gets the job done very well. Unsurprisingly, based on Fox's history, the soundtrack for the game was also extremely good. Every song in the game is at least decent, and several of them are some of the best video game songs I've heard. I'd recommend at least listening to the soundtrack if you enjoy chiptune music, even if you don't check out the rest of the game. In conclusion, Deltarune is a really good RPG, and I would highly recommend checking it out, especially once all 7 chapters are out. Thanks for watching.